Welcome. Keep wooing. This is very exciting. Welcome to the Transgender Day of Visibility. This is a historic day, and I want us to just do it justice, just real quick. I know we have some excitement. I know we had some snacks back there. Let's just give ourselves a round of applause for being intentional about coming here today. My name is Philip O'Rourke, and I am the president of Yellow Springs Pride. It is my privilege to be standing before you today. I want to start off by thanking our sponsors, Antioch College, Inclusive, Resilient, Yellow Springs Coalition, and of course, Yellow Springs Pride. Those are the brain children of where you are today, and you're going to hear more about that. But right now, I want to jump into the Trans Agenda for Liberation. Let's watch this short video.
Let's watch, not here. We demand a world where trans people are never.
This is a movement we enjoy. Do you believe in the power of trans lives?
Black trans women must be trusted to lead.
We demand a world where trans people are never forced to leave our homes, where indigenous cultural practices, land and body sovereignty are respected.
The envision a world where all trans people are affirmed from the moment of their birth.
The world where the healthcare we need is readily available.
All trans people deserve a long and fulfilled life.
Trans people deserve the freedom to thrive. We demand a world without cages.
These pillars are just the beginning of our demands. We invite you to do more than just ask what you can do for trans lives. Act and join us by signing on to the Trans Agenda for Liberation.
So what we witnessed there is just like here, people with a passion and putting that passion into action. Yellow Springs is known for its historic inclusiveness and continues to grow in that effort. One effort of which, and I am standing in her stead tonight, Mayor Pam. She couldn't be here this evening, but she wanted to extend her gratitude for just launching this event here in Yellow Springs, and she recognized it today with the Mayoral Proclamation that I will read for you right now. Whereas today, March 31st, is International Transgender Day of Visibility, and whereas this represents an opportunity to express our support for the trans community and to celebrate the many contributions and accomplishments trans people have made to our society. Whereas it is also a time to increase awareness of transphobia, discrimination, and challenges faced by members of this community that continue to instill systemic barriers to their freedom and equality. And whereas the first Transgender Day of Visibility was held in 2009 by Rachel Crandall, Executive Director and co-founder of Transgender Michigan, and is now observed around the world, including our own village. And whereas on this day, we are reminded of the words of E.E. Cummings, it takes courage to grow up and become who you really are. As well as Laverne Cox, who simply said, your lives matter, your voices matter, your stories matter. And whereas we let it be known that the diverse village of Yellow Springs is proud to stand in support of all LGBTQ plus sisters and brothers. Now, I, Mayor Pam Kanine, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Yellow Springs, Ohio, do hereby proclaim today, March 31st, 2022 to be Transgender Day of Visibility in the Village, in witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and seal of the office of Mayor. Mayor Pam Canine. Come on, let's give that a hand. Visibility is intentional. Your presence is intentional. And now I would like to introduce to you the Executive Director of the Coretta Scott King Center for Cultural and Intellectual Freedom, Shadia Alvarez.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to extend a really warm welcome to all of you. This is not only a historical occasion, but for us, it's our first in-person event. And after all of these transitions, there is no short of excitement that it would be this moment that would allow us to open our doors. So I want to extend that welcome. And I also want to share with you that we see ourselves at the Coretta Scott King Center as a hub for building local movement building, for building national resolve. And we thank, our partners, YS Pride, not only for partnering with us on this, but also helping us think about what do we need to do next? How do we keep this agenda at the forefront? How do we talk about liberation, justice, and joy in ways that build us up and uplift all of us? And how do we make sure that we stay accountable to values that make sure that all of us are present, that our voices are heard, but that also we're building community, day by day, moment by moment. So I thank you, I welcome you. Our wonderful, amazing president, Jane Fernandez, is here. She is a rock star. I can't wait for y'all to spend some time with President Jane. We also have, soon enough in the video, our board president, Shelby Chestnut. Antioch College is being led by a group of diverse and committed folks, committed to liberation. So thank you and welcome.
Hello all, I'm Bob Partita. Thank you all for coming out. I'm one of the co-founders of Yellow Springs Pride. Emily Siebel, the other co-founder, is also here. She'll be speaking a little later. I just wanted to come up tonight and talk about Yellow Springs Pride. We're transitioning. It has been a wonderful 11 years of us doing the Pride Fest and just really providing great, safe community space. I have hundreds of stories to share, but I won't tonight. But really, we want to transition. The need is incredible. So we are going to become, and this is the first event, but we are going to become a year-round resource to provide for this community. It is so important that we continue working together and coming together and talking to each other. I had some great conversations tonight. I hope you all did too. There's a lot of need, but there are a lot of resources that we want to provide. And one story from tonight I am going to share very quickly. Our new chief of police is here tonight, and she picked up a button over there, and it had David's Place on it. David's Place is a shelter for LGBTQ youth that are at risk. And she was very excited and came to me and said, "Can you tell me more about this?" And I said, "I can do better." I have the director of the program, Josh Edgeland, here tonight, and he talked to her for quite a while. And that is what we're here to do. That's what we're going to continue to do. And we do need your support. Help us to do this. Let's get involved. All of you can do something. So I am not going to waste a lot more time tonight. We're a little over schedule. But please get involved, please support, and most importantly, we really need to vote as if our lives depend on it, because it really does. We're still at risk, all of us, and no doubt. So please hit the voting booths. I am now going to introduce Angela Walt tonight. Is she not here? Is she not here? Angela Walt? Angel, it says Angela, but Angel, please come up. I'm so sorry. Angel and I are actually friends. I didn't see it. I'm so sorry.
Hi, welcome everyone. I guess I wanted to just say something about visibility. Kind of my story is I started questioning my gender around 2010, and it was because of friends that I met. This was back when I was living over on the East Coast, that started posting on Facebook on 2011, Transgender Day of Visibility. They were the ones that gave me the courage and the inspiration to go and say, this is who I am to the rest of the world. So this is, on this day in 2011 is when I came out to the world as a transgender woman, and then I decided to take myself and go back into the office. And where I worked at the time was for the Department of Defense, and I worked in the DIA, which if you don't know what that is, that's where they put the people from the Pentagon, because the Pentagon doesn't have enough room. So here I am coming out at work amongst all of these people, and you can imagine this isn't the biggest bastion of liberal people. You've got some people in military uniform, kind of like, who is this person? So what happened is I would walk down the aisle and I'd hear somebody having a conversation, and they would just stop as I walked by. And every now and then I'd hear somebody go, what the f? And then going to the cafeteria, as I'm walking out with my lunch, an entire table of men turn to watch me walk through. Purposely, like, who is this person? Why are they here? What are they doing? I was the only trans person, I found out later, that they had ever known in their entire life. The visibility of being there every single day was at first a sideshow attraction to them. And then as they got to know me, realized I was just another worker like them, their familiarity began. And what happened is a couple years later, Maryland was looking to pass a petition to take away transgender rights protections. And I had coworkers come up to me and say, you know, I can't imagine doing that to you. And my husband would probably vote for this, but I'm going to tell him, and we're not going to sign this petitions, and if this ever gets on the ballot, you have my back. And this wasn't alone. This is a number of people. And then what happened after that is because of the visibility, because I was there and they could see who I was, the other trans people that came, Delilah, Chris, they were just completely accepted. There was none of this sideshow. There was none of this, like, who is this person? By being visible, we make it easier for the people to come after us, just as the people who were visible before us made it easier for us. And that's what I wanted to share, is visibility. Be seen, be known. Thank you.
And thank you, Angel. As I am the president of YS Pride, you also should know I am the king of typos. So I apologize, and I see you, and I apologize. Oh, I was like, they don't sing me down. That was a Sandman at the Apollo. Well, next, this is a section called Share My Story. We're here for visibility. We're here to hear the stories. And the next story and the next voice that we're going to hear is Luminialys. Welcome.
Hello, loves. You'll have to bear with me. This is the first time I've spoken in public since I came out. This is technically my first day of visibility. I'm a little overwhelmed. Thank you. I wanted to share a little bit of my story. It's only been recently that I've found the courage to come out. I've had this particular identity hidden for decades. I'm unfortunately not as young as I look. It was hidden for a good 20 years. Because back at the turn of the century, I didn't have any kind of knowledge, really. I didn't know what I was doing, what I was feeling. And the one time I decided to be out and about, I paid for it quite dearly. And after that, I hid. for 20 years. It was only the love of an absolutely wonderful being that allowed me to be who I truly was. And ideally, I wouldn't want anyone to suffer as I did. I see you. I see every one of you. We all deserve to be seen. We deserve to be known. And we deserve our place. Not only for ourselves, but for those who come after us. We owe it to them. Pave the way. Be there where no one was there for us. I know this is a bit melodramatic and depressing, but you'll have to forgive me, I'm winging it. I suppose I'll just politely bow out and say that we are all valid, we are all worthy, and we are all enough. Thank you.
Wow, we are all valid, we are all worthy, and we are all enough. I need that every morning when I look into the mirror. Next, with a voice of artistry, please welcome Iden Crockett.
Hello, everyone. My name is Iden, and I've been blessed over the last year or so to be able to tell my story actually quite a bit through different venues and through my writing and my art. And so I wasn't sure that I wanted to stand up here and do that again. And I've been thinking about this Trans Day of Visibility and how awesome this is, that we're all here and we're all comfortable and we're all being visible, and it's great. But here's the thing, I expect this in Yellow Springs, right? I expect this. And it's just a small part of the world, though. And when I look at the larger country and the larger society that we live in, it sometimes feels like this culture that we have isn't one that celebrates truth. It almost seems to abhor it. It almost seems to actively fight against it and to reward ignorance. I feel like nowadays, the more ignorant you are, the more likely you are to get your own primetime talk show or your own seat in the Senate. And I wanted to take this chance today while we're all being visible to talk about how important that is, not just to inspire the other trans people out there who are scared to be visible and to come out, but to fight against that ignorance. I think that the only way you can do that is by telling the truth, and the only truth that you know is your own. So every day that we go out and we're visible, we carry that truth. And for that 84% of the country that doesn't know a trans person, now they get to see one, buying their groceries, pumping their gas, picking up their kids at school. And little by little, you can fight back that by telling your truth. Because if you don't, there's plenty of people with primetime talk shows that are going to fill that void with their ignorance. So if we want to live in a country that celebrates truth and bravery, we all kind of have to step up and do that. And fortunately for trans people, it just means we just have to live and be ourselves. But it's not as easy as it sounds. Maybe it is when you're wandering around Yellow Springs, but it's not easy. I know my friend Alice is in Fairborn. I used to work in Fairborn. I used to work for the fire department there. I do not any longer, and there is a reason. This. Because I'm visible, and I'm not a firefighter anymore. So I know what I'm asking, and I know what I'm asking people to risk, but I think it's worth it. And for those of you who aren't trans, you only have one job, and that's just support the trans people in your life as they go out and be visible. When someone comes out to you as trans, all you have to do is say, okay. And that's it. That's literally it. You don't have to question them. You don't do anything, because what they've done is come up to you and tell you the truth. And it takes a whole lot of courage. That's all I've got.
Visibility takes courage, the courage of all of us, not just those going through the process, but those witnessing the process. Visibility is also how you are seen responding. What am I learning from you in your response? We all have examples. What are we teaching about visibility? We're going to watch a story now of Zay. What do we see and how do we support trans youth? What do we learn and how can we be visible supporters? Let's watch together.
Full of life. Zay is very full of energy.
Very kind kid, very kind of mysterious, and always has been. For the first few years of her life, she was just a little boy. All our baby pictures, she looked just like me. We kept her hair cut short and gave her normal little boy clothes to wear.
Zay never actually came out and said, "Hey mom, I'm transgender."
So there were stages. Right? When Zay was young, and we were kind of clueless parents, it was fine to dress up around the house. But when we go out of the house, you're gonna be a little boy again. And then it was, yeah, you can wear a skirt every once in a while, but not to school. And then it just kind of progressed from there. And it was really because Zay has always known who she was.
It felt like I was trapped in a cage a million miles away, and there was no way to get out.
Said, you're a boy, but you wear girl clothes. At school, someone came up to her and told her, and Zay told me, she said, yeah, so what? I'm just a human being. Is there a problem with that too?
People are afraid of what they don't understand. I didn't understand it, honestly, about what was going on, what was happening.
Once we kind of started to educate ourselves on what being transgender was, what it meant. You know, if you look at the stats, they're kind of terrifying. Transgender people have a much higher percentage chance of being murdered, of being homeless, of being discriminated against at work, of committing suicide or attempting suicide, of having depression and mental health issues.
The gay freak. Everybody talked about me, but it was nothing about who I was that made me want to kill myself. It was just what they said to me.
About once a week, Zay's 5th grade teacher in elementary would call me and tell me that Zay was having problems in school.
3rd grade through 5th grade, she just stopped using the bathroom at school.
You know, eventually this child was going to end up going through puberty, but we didn't know what we were going to do about that because this child was not going to be able to pass for a cute little girl. We didn't know that we could do anything for her.
So we watched this TED Talks. I don't think we said a word for the whole thing.
And they were treating them by blocking the puberty that they didn't want. Because basically, kids look about the same, each sex, until they go through puberty, at which point, if you feel you're in the wrong sex, you feel like Pinocchio becoming a donkey. The fantasy that you had, that your body will change to be who you want it to be, with puberty actually is nullified by the puberty you get. And they fall apart.
After we watched it, Jason and I looked at each other, and for me, it was more, oh my gosh, there's hope for my child. My child doesn't have to go through society as a boy trying to pretend to be a girl, because I felt kind of like that's what we were doing.
When I first heard about all this stuff that you could do, it felt like somebody with a key just came and opened my cage and said, "You're free to go." It's a lot better than being stuck in a cage. So I went to the children's hospital clinic, and they put this little, and I think it was like a rod, they put in my arm. I feel pretty good. I don't even know it's there.
There's Spencer. Look at that one. That looks pretty. Yeah. She's found her place. She is so happy. She's found her place. She's a thriving, beautiful young lady now. It's been so fun to get to know my daughter. I worry that is he going to find somebody to love her? I worry if is she going to find somebody to love?
Or she just, oh, I would never get married. And I said, well, don't rule it out, because someday it would be really cool to me walking down the aisle. I never thought that was something I'd get to do for anyone. I'm really happy that Zay is with us, because we're going to try and protect her. And there's her in everybody's life. There's her in the world. That's fine. But that her not being accepted by her family isn't going to be something that she has to deal with.
She's my kid. She may have a few more obstacles in her way, but no teenager doesn't.
Is that all?
Please welcome Yellow Springs Pride Board of Directors member, and more importantly, Zay's mother, Chasilee Crawford.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chasilee. Look at all these beautiful faces here. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this. So that video, I'm sorry, it made me cry. It makes me cry every single time. I too am winging it this evening. I just wanted to speak from my heart and tell you guys that I'm here. I see you. I love you. And my daughter is now 19 years old. And she is the love of my life, along with my son, Jeffrey. She couldn't be here today because she's working. So she's sorry to have missed everybody, but she wanted me to tell you guys that she's thankful and she's happy and she is loved. And when we made this video, it actually came out of a program that we went to for Leela. And that was probably one of the most eye-opening and thought-provoking events that I have ever been to, because that really showed me what I needed to do for my daughter in order for her to survive. And today I want to say that, I'm just a mother. I'm just a mother who loves her child. I'm just a mother who wants the best for her child. And I don't want any other recognition in any other way because I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve, the fact that I love my daughter. And I just, again, want to thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you for being here. Know, again, that I see you. I see you, and I love you.
Keep clapping, keep clapping. There will come a day when visibility is not something to be recognized anymore. You know, there will come a day when everything will just be. And we won't have to say, please recognize my existence. Please treat me the same. Please provide me with equality. There will come a day. But until then, we will still celebrate. Until then, we will still fight. And even when, we will still love. Even when. So I would like to invite up Emily Siebel. I said her last name wrong again. Y'all, pray for my choices. Siebel. And listen, and Alex Scott. I have to look, now I got to look at my paper because I'm second guessing my own life. So please welcome Emily Siebel.
Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm Alex Scott, and this is Emily Siebel. We're both with Yellow Springs Home Inc., but also the Inclusive and Resilient Yellow Springs Coalition, of which I am the lead convener. So the Inclusive and Resilient Yellow Springs Coalition, we are a group of representatives from different organizations in town, a lot of organizations like the schools, Antioch College, of course, Yellow Springs Home Inc., the Village of Yellow Springs, and our mission is to support diverse communities in Yellow Springs by identifying and removing barriers to access and opportunity in Yellow Springs to create a more livable, equitable, and inclusive Yellow Springs. So some of our efforts include information gathering in and outside of the community to identify some of those barriers that we want to remove, to ultimately create a citizen-informed action plan on how to remove barriers to accessibility and, of course, inclusivity in Yellow Springs. And also, community education is one of the important pieces we've been working on, including diversity, equity, inclusivity trainings, as well as information such as tenants' rights, affordability and housing issues. So, I'm also winging it tonight. How did today? Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this actually, so part of our efforts at the coalition have been to outreach to organizations outside of Yellow Springs so that we can learn about barriers keeping people who want to live in Yellow Springs, who want to visit Yellow Springs, from being able to. So one of the first groups we were able to meet with was the Greater Dayton LGBT Center. And from that conversation, we kind of got the idea to connect LGBTQ resources in Yellow Springs. So then we met with Yellow Springs Pride, we met with the Antioch College Queer Center, and from that came not only a letter we recently published, just in support of trans youth, especially in the wake of some of the attacks that are happening on trans rights across the country, but also this event came out of that, and we are hoping to continue these collaborations and just bring more things like this to Yellow Springs. So I think without further ado, here's Emily.
Thank you for talking first, because I'm a hot mess. I was just crying. I'm still crying. This turnout is above and beyond what we were anticipating when we started planning this event about 3 weeks ago. And I think we're just all coming out of these multiple collective traumas, and It is so refreshing and so joyous to be in this space where we can be seen and acknowledged and embrace one another authentically. And everyone here, especially the folks who spoke and shared your stories, we just want you to know that we celebrate you, we see you, and thank you for filling this space. We hope to continue to have this space. This is your space, and we are so grateful. So before I introduce our keynote, I have to give a special shout out to Coretta Sanford, who I can see standing right back there. So if you would just come up here and join me, Coretta. I did give you a warning. So Coretta was the co-founder of the Inclusive and Resilient Yellow Springs Coalition. Now Alex Scott is the lead convener, and Coretta is now a teacher at Mills Lawn Elementary. And I have to imagine it's really exciting to see the work that you started continue, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to say a few words.
I just want to say one of the things I really admire the most about being here is knowing that this will be here for all of the students that I have right now. So I have many students who identify as LGBT. I have trans students who I think really benefit from seeing that they can grow up and be here when they get older. So I really appreciate everyone who's here right now.
All right, well, again, this is a testament to the feeling of belonging, which is what we are amplifying. And so your presence here matters so much. And we are so grateful to everyone that's here. And like I said, and like everyone's been saying, we see you, we acknowledge you, we affirm you, we celebrate you. And it is with great joy that we're gathering here together. We truly appreciate the courage that it takes to show up and be seen and share your story, and that is a gift to all of us. So without further ado, I am delighted to introduce our keynote, who's appearing remotely because they have a lot going on. But my good friend and fellow Antioch alumnus, Shelby Chestnut, is the chair of the Board of Trustees of Antioch College, and they are a mixed race, a Assiniboine and Norwegian queer and trans community organizer with roots from Montana and Minnesota. Shelby is the Director of Policy and Programs at the Transgender Law Center, the country's largest trans-led organization. Shelby's work focuses on supporting the leadership of transgender people of color around the United States to ensure they are alive and thriving. Prior to TLC, Shelby served as the Director of Community Organizing and Public Advocacy at the New York City Anti-Violence Project for 6 years. Shelby holds a BA from Antioch College, class of 2005, and an MS in Public Policy from the New School. Shelby has dedicated their career to organizing and mobilizing LGBTQ people of color, and low-income communities to ensure policies are informed by the people directly impacted by economic inequality and violence. And she has prepared a statement, or they have prepared, I am so sorry. They have prepared a statement to share today, and so please welcome me in welcoming our keynote.
I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I think I know a lot of folks, but for those who don't know me, my name is Shelby Chestnut. I use they, them pronouns, and my side gig is the board chair of Antioch College. I'm also an alumni of the college, class of 2005. In my day job, I work for an organization called the Transgender Law Center. We're the largest trans-led organization in the United States. And we focus on movement building and impact litigation. And the reason I can't be there with you all this week is because I'm headed to Texas, where I know folks have seen some really atrocious things through the Attorney General and then the Governor of Texas trying to harm transgender kids and their families. So I have my Joint Master Children's Kids hoodie on that I'm taking with me to Texas. And we're gonna do some mobilizing down there. We're gonna first have like a community event, which is just sort of more sharing a meal and celebrating trans young people and their families. And then on Saturday, there's a bigger rally, which is just sort of a call to action for allies, as well as LGBT folks, to show who they are and to demand that the state of Texas and its lawmakers not continue to harm LGBT people, specifically trans youth. I think what's important is to contextualize this moment that these are not new attacks, and they're very much intentionally not going after young people. Folks might recall back in like 13, 14, the North Carolina legislature tried to pass for HB2, which was the first trans bathroom bill in the country. And it was really trying to say that if you let trans people use the bathroom, that you're making it unsafe for everyone else, which we just know is not true. And then over the years, they've tried to progress in these issues, and they've become more egregious. And I think when they realized they couldn't continue to target adults, they've now gone for young people, and now they're going after young people and their parents. Folks know that LGBT folks, particularly trans kids, are disproportionately impacted by family rejection and bullying in schools, and now the very people who are hopefully protecting them are potentially being criminalized for supporting them as transgender people. I also think there's a lot of misconceptions, because people want to say things like, well, if you let a young person decide that they're transgender, like, they're going to have these surgeries that they can't really understand what they are. And to be clear, I don't think we should be debating transgender people's medical procedures, but young people are not having transition-related surgeries until they're of an age where it's safe to do so. So I think there's just a lot of misinformation. And to be honest, I think the right who are funding a lot of these attacks, who are sort of pushing a lot of these attacks, whether it's through administrative action or legislative action, they don't actually have that much of an issue with trans people. I think they see it as a fear-mongering tactic, and it's working. I think the question that we all might want to ask ourselves is like, when was the first time we heard about transgender people? We understood what transgender people were. I knew from a very young age, even at Antioch, that I was trans, that I was queer, that my gender assigned at birth didn't match sort of what I was experiencing the world and how I wanted the world to see me. And I was super fortunate to have places like Antioch really allow me to become who I am, and for that to be okay. I think it's a huge deal that I can sit here right now as the chair of the board of the college I attended, as a transgender person who's under the age of 50, and be here sort of sharing this with you all, but also help craft and lead a group of people that are overseeing the success of Antioch College. So I think something that folks can do locally is have these conversations in their community, and think about what does it mean for us to be inclusive and supporting of LGBT people, both at Antioch College, but in the village of Yellow Springs. How are we addressing sort of school bullying at all levels of education, not just sort of like the higher levels of education, because sadly, as we know, bullying starts really young with young people. And if it's starting with people when they're really young, it's oftentimes starting with their families. So having those hard conversations, because I think a lot of it is people just don't know trans people, they don't understand them, but as soon as they do, they understand that we're really no different than anyone else. I think there needs to be a serious stance taken that we shouldn't live in a society that makes small or large jokes or harmful behavior something that should be tolerated for trans people. We're at a time where trans people are dying around the country at higher rates than they ever have. It's particularly impacting our Black and brown trans communities. And we shouldn't be making jokes, and we shouldn't be allowing other people to make jokes about it, even in a playful way. I think, families and young people can hear those things and take them very seriously. And I think what we need to understand is that the negative messages that young people get over and over, they start to internalize them. The mental health decline of transgender youth is really rapid. The suicide rates of transgender youth is higher than the national average. And then now, add on to that, there's state after state continuing to harm transgender people with attempts for legislation. Oftentimes it doesn't pass. But unfortunately, just today as I'm recording this, Utah, their governor vetoed a bill that would limit transgender youth in sports, and then their legislature vetoed his veto. So it's like, the people will sue on behalf of families who are impacted by this, and it'll get taken to the courts, and it'll likely be in people's favor. But for months, if not years, transgender kids will be told they can't play in sports. They will face bullying and rejection from their classmates, from their mentors, from just people in their community. Families will be hurt in the process. So I think it's really important that we stand together and not just wait for bad things to happen where we take a stance, but to be proactive in our stance. So I really wish that I could be there with all of you and just think about this really exciting day. It's a moment, I think, where folks can come together and celebrate trans resilience and joy. And also, learn with each other. What can we do to sort of foster a better understanding of LGBT issues, specifically trans issues? And I'm super looking forward to meeting you all in person someday, and I hope you all have a great event, and I'm sad that I can't be there. So have a good night.
So visibility, what does it take to support? What does it take right now? I guess the question that you should be asking is, okay, so what now? What do we do now? What do we walk away with now? What are the actions that we can put into practice now? One of the things that I love about this is we see you. Not just the people that share today, not just the people that are on the screens, but the people that are our supporters. And I want to talk about the people that are supporters really quickly, because we talked about Yellow Springs being inclusive. We talked about Yellow Springs being equitable and all of those things. But when you go downtown, I want you to know of all of the places that support this particular event. So when we talk about visibility, I want you to see who is supporting. I want you to see all the people that are encouraging us, rooting for us, all of these things. So let me just take a minute. And I do want to say that I appreciate Brian Hausch being here. Thank you, Village Council President. Thank you for being here. As well as Cheryl Durgans from the Yellow Springs News. Thank you for being here. And the reason why I say that is it's not in a vacuum. See me or visibility is not this silent word that nobody hears. People hear. And people want to do. And hopefully this opens up the doors of possibilities. It just takes that one. I use I know we're running a long time here. But if you go to a conference, right? And you go to the conference and then you go into the room and there's refreshments. It's generally that one person that gets that croissant, and everybody's like, all right, we can get a croissant now. It takes that one person to stand up and do it. It takes that one person to visibly make a change. And then everybody else will say, it's possible. We can do this. This event is because we saw something. We together looked and said, now this is possible. You're witnessing this, and others will, and they'll say, this is possible. So let me let you know some of the people who think that you are possible. The Village of Yellow Springs Pride, Inclusive Resilient Yellow Springs Coalition, Antioch College, Home Inc., Bentino's Pizza, Emporium Wines and Underdog Cafe, Yellow Springs Community Access Channel 5, The Winds Cafe, The Green Canteen, Dino's Cappuccino, The Phillips Show. I'll come back. Reverend Daria and Mrs. Janine Chestnut. Turning Wheel Management, Yvette Diva Williams. Yellow Springs Toy Store. Urban Handmade, Current Cuisine, Sunrise Cafe, Calypso Grill, Elias Kelly, and Julian's Healing. How do I say it? Holohan. It's my words, I'm telling you. See, we're all trying to see today. I just can't see. Listen, but there's a message here. If we don't know who sees us, we will feel alone. If we don't identify our supporters, we will always feel like we're the victim of nobody coming to our rescue, nobody supporting us, nobody providing a way out. We are seen. You are seen. These people can take one step, and they have. We've taken one step, and now there's possibilities. There's possibilities of more. So what can we do today? I want to just do one kind of popcorn exercise, if it's all right. This is kind of impromptu. I'm winging it, as you can tell with this reading. But I just want for people to be brave out here. What is one thing that you're encouraged to do today? Somebody yell something out. What are you encouraged to do? Be yourself. Be visible. Yell it one more time. Create more spaces for trans students. Being here. Spreading love. These are all good. And I know you all have, you got to eat the croissant. I know you all have something. There is something to do now. There is something to do tomorrow. Take that encouragement, take that courage, take that fire, and leave this place and help see others. All right, so we want to thank you so much for being here tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause for taking action, taking courage. And this is one tangible thing that you can do. Please, please, please go back to the table. These are for you to stay connected. There's no reason to have all of these resources. There's no reason to have all of these things that you can be a part of and just leave this place without a resource. David's place is back there. You can get one of these, sign up, sign our guest book so we can keep in touch with you regarding all of these events that we are doing for the visibility of this community. So we thank you for coming out and for spending the time, and be encouraged, be seen, and be well. Have a great night. We're going to play some music. There's a step and repeat. We have snacks back there. Mingle together. Grab your information. Have a great time.
I just wanted to let everybody know the music you're hearing is from a Spotify playlist called Transcend. It's all trans and non-binary artists. And also, if you Google Trans Agenda for Liberation, you can sign on, you can pledge to join the Trans Agenda for Liberation. Thank you.